I'm not concerned, Brian. I have to do my job. This is a difficult time to be the Speaker of the House. Everybody recognizes that. Newt Gingrich posted an op-ed earlier this week and said Johnson has the toughest speakership since the time of the Civil War. I'm not sure if he's right about that, but I do know it's a great challenge. We have the smallest majority in U.S. history. I have a one-vote margin. It is not helpful to our cause to advance conservative policy and principle to have any of the uprising in our own camp, and that's what this is. I don't think it goes anywhere. I'm not concerned about it. I have to do the job and do the right thing. And I have to move the ball forward. We try to do that every single day, incrementally, as best we can, when we only control, remember, 1/2 of 1/3 of the federal government. That's our challenge.
Are you glad? Is it an honor for Democrats to back you? Are you glad that they're going to back you and prevent it from resulting in a Kevin McCarthy situation?
Look, I haven't asked anyone to do that. There's no exchange of anything here. They're doing that spontaneously. I think there are people of good faith in both parties who want the Congress to be functioning. Remember the last time the chair was vacated when it happened to Kevin McCarthy, we shut the Congress down for 3 weeks. I mean, imagine how dangerous that would be right now in the midst of hot wars around the world and all this, insurrection on campuses and all the rest that's going on. We have to have a functioning Congress, and I think people see that, and they don't want the chaos to ensue.
I've been doing this a long time, and we've seen some crazy things from 9/11 to the collapse of the economy in 2008. I'm never going to forget a week like that.
Sometimes when you find out the truth, I just need 60 seconds of your time to tell you something. When I was growing up, there was a series on TV called The Mr. Men. We need to add a new character, Mr. Desperate. Mike Johnson is beyond desperate. He's the sort of person that needs likes, needs retweets, all of that social media stuff that boosts his ego.
The story of Mike Johnson is the story of a collaborator.
Is nothing there. He is like the most insecure politician you can imagine, where he even has to bring along Elise Stefanik to butter his backside. His policies are here, there and everywhere. He says whatever he thinks he needs to get the attention of the former guys. Plays any card, has a black son.
My wife Kelly and I, when we were newlyweds, we took custody of a young black kid in Baton Rouge. We were living there. Michael, he's our son. And he
hates homosexuals, plays the religious card. You tell me right now, in one sentence, one word, sum up Mike Johnson. Oh, that one's easy. FOS. We have a better description.
This whole thing is the most repulsive, disgusting thing happening, and the American people are the ones writing the check. And I absolutely hate everybody here that is doing this. I mean, I seriously hate them for doing this to the American people.
Fox News called me an idiot.
They think this is the business model that needs to be done.
Yeah, go Trump!
So I'm just sitting here in the back of the car thinking, do you ever look at something and did that really happen?
Well, I'm not allowed to testify. I'm under a gag order. I guess. I can't even testify on that. No, we're going to be appealing the gag order. I'd love to answer that question. It's a very easy question. The easiest question so far. But I'm not allowed to testify because this judge, who's totally conflicted, has me under an unconstitutional gag order.
Let's deal with this crazy situation. Every single day, well, last few days, Trump rocks up to court, says a whole load of garbage, it gets broadcast everywhere, and nobody says anything. There's no qualification on anything.
Moments ago, Mr. Trump falsely claimed he's not allowed to testify because he's under a gag order. That's not right, correct?
Here's the biggest crap he's come out today with. He's not allowed to testify, even though he wants to testify because he's under a gag order. The problem with what Trump does, says something, knowing full well that most of his sycophants and those that follow everything he's got to say are not going to check any facts.
Testify is a term of art. It means take the stand in court, raise your right hand, and swear to tell the truth, and you testify in front of a court, in front of the jury. The gag order has nothing to do with that. Of course he can testify. He has an absolute right to testify, and he is not restricted in terms of what he can talk about as long as it's relevant, admissible evidence.
Can I ask you a question? When Kayleigh McEnany says the press, who is the press? Who exactly is she pointing out? Because at the moment, for example, Fox the 5 is the most watched show on cable news. A lot of people watch Fox News. So when she says the BS she comes out with, is she a liar? There's a question. Is Kayleigh McEnany a lie? Yeah, is she a liar? Straight question.
Here's the sad part. The press will let him get away with this. If Donald Trump had delivered those exact same remarks in the exact same timeline, the White House press briefing room would be at a fever pitch. I would be yelled at. He would be yelled at. We would be asked, do you denounce the support from any anti-Semitic protester? And unless we denounced every young person in the country, that wouldn't be enough. And then we would be asked, will you pull their student loans? If we didn't answer, there would be a ferocious roar from the White House press corps.
So you know that Laura Ingraham doesn't have any sense of humour? Like, one of these people that can dish it. That's what Fox do. They employ people who can put a joke out, but can't take a joke. What is it? Dipshit? No, it's not dipstick. It's Von Schitterpants or something like that. Ingraham is upset. This is the same person, by the way, that only 24 hours ago was referring to Chris Christie as a fat pig. That's okay. Anyway, back to... Sorry.
I apologize for this update ahead of time.
Oh boy.
Todd Blanche, the Trump attorney, is specifically reading a post that Michael Cohen made on Twitter on April 22nd, in which he refers to Donald Trump as Von Schitzenpants. Anna Bash, I know you want to weigh in on Von Schitzenpants.
This is CNN. Where does James Earl Jones go to get his voiceover back? Joining me now.
We haven't done education for a while, so let's do some educational content. What is the history of Don Von Schitzenpants? Sorry. Michael, go in.
And it's bad news. Bad things are happening. I'm upset.
He's going like, Donald Von Schitzenpants. That's what he was doing. He was trying to figure out a way how he can sort of squeeze that sucker out.
George Conway in a tweet said, Trump is confused and a pathological liar. I would actually say that's a compliment. What is crazy about this? This is somebody who wants to be, well, one of the most powerful people in the world, but has a basic problem of telling the truth. I tend to think if you said to him, are you married to Melania Trump? He'd go, who? And then say, fake news. So I was actually listening to this thing the other day. It's quite fascinating. They were talking about how they can teach pigeons, this is pigeons, which seeds to go to. So the question is, smarter than a pigeon, yes or no? More intelligent than a pigeon, yes or no? Higher IQ than a pigeon, yes or no? I got a hat trick of no's. You?
The recreational marijuana is the most broad, non-medical marijuana. It would be everywhere. The state would smell like it. We don't need that in Florida. The abortion amendment would be the most radical abortion regime in the world. It eliminates parental consent for minors, and it allows abortion up until birth and doesn't even require a physician to be involved. So vote no on both of those. But I think regardless of how those turn out, Republicans are going to carry the day in Florida pretty significantly.
Another question. Is this funny? Yes or no?
Jeffries and Whip Clark and Cher Aguilar, by coming out yesterday and saying that they would move to table this and take this issue off the table, essentially shows that we want to get shit done. Like we are the ones that provided the votes to lift the debt ceiling. If we didn't provide those votes, America and the world would be in economic collapse. We are the ones who have provided the votes that have avoided every shutdown that Republicans have tried to take us to. We are the ones that provided the votes to expel that biggest fraudster to ever come to Congress, George Santos. And we are the ones that provided the votes to keep Ukraine in the fight. So of every vote of consequence, this Congress, we've shown that we want to get things done. And so we're not going to let a chaos agent like Marjorie Taylor Greene just gum up the works here.
You know, Marge, I think everybody's just trying to support somebody who can get work done. Yeah. And you're hoping that all the Democrats keep him in power so that you can say, see, you think what we think, but we don't. We don't think that at all. We're thinking, hey, you really want to make America great again? Make it work. Yeah.
So no lie, we found some we found some So no lie, we found some CCTV footage of That's what happens when you try and do things in the back of the car with your son playing with his toys. We found some CCTV footage. The joke isn't going to work now.
Trump's just outside of a fire station. After leaving court, he's got pizza for the guys. This is typical Trump. Let's poke in and see what he's up to right there. And Joe Biden, he can walk up to a firehouse, a police station, he can walk into a boardroom, a bowling alley, or a bar and have a conversation with absolutely anybody. We don't have any audio on him right now, but apparently he's going inside to talk to these firefighters, which is, by the way, right outside the studio, folks. This is incredible. The fact that he leaves court, goes and campaigns with these people.
You joining us, Danny.
Thank you,
The third week of Trump's Manhattan hush money trial ended with former Trump White House aide Hope Hicks on the stand, recounting her own experience of when the Stormy Daniels allegations came to light and their impact on Trump's White House, and painting expected witness and former Trump fixer Michael Cohen in a poor light. But we also heard from Stormy Daniels' former lawyer and from Trump saying falsely that he can't testify because of the gag order imposed by Judge Juan Merchan. What else am I missing from this third week that stood out big to you?
Nothing, except I would say what stood out to me is what Hope Hicks didn't testify about. I was really curious to see what Hope Hicks was going to say, because unlike people like Michael Cohen or Stormy Daniels, Hope Hicks has been completely silent, other than testifying before, say, a grand jury. We don't know what she was going to say. So it was possible that we would be hit with some Trump bombshell, because this is somebody that was very close to Trump for a long period of time, who may have overheard things. We already know David Pecker put her at least 2 meetings or conferences that were very critical. But on the whole, her testimony, of course, was damaging for Trump, but there were little tidbits in there for the defense, including painting Michael Cohen, as you said, like a bumbling Mr. Fix-It, which was an ironic name because she said he would break things and then fix them. Calling him rogue, which I promise you will be a word we'll see again in the defense's closing. It's their central theme of their case. So Hope Hicks was the marquee witness this week, and she was a mixed bag. A lot of folks said she was devastating to Trump. I don't agree. I think there was something for each side in Hope Hicks' testimony.
Calling the Michael Cohen rogue and saying he breaks it and fix it, wouldn't a defense have to then explain why Donald Trump wrote him the checks that he wrote him? You don't write a rogue guy 6-figure checks, and they're saying it was for legal expenses. Wouldn't they have to explain what legal work he did if he was just an outside fix-it guy? I mean, you can't have it both ways.
No, you can't. But I'm glad you bring that up, because I think we're getting to the defense's theme, and it's a narrow one. They really have to thread the needle. And what I think they might do is they have to concede that there was a payment from Cohen to Daniels. And when those checks are shown on the screen, they're going to have to concede that there were checks that Donald Trump signed. So what do? Maybe your angle is Michael Cohen was a rogue actor that Trump reimbursed after the smoke had cleared. And if that's the case, Donald Trump couldn't have had the intent to participate in Michael Cohen's bad behavior if he just reimbursed him after the fact. It's a narrow needle.
And even in that narrow needle, would they also have to say that Donald Trump reimbursed him and he had nothing to do with the election? He just reimburses rogues?
Right, exactly. So you are seeing this narrowing window of the defense's theme. That, and in addition, point the finger at people like Michael Cohen and Keith Davidson and say, liar, liar, pants on fire. But that's why the people are introducing witnesses like Hope Hicks to help galvanize their shakier witnesses so that when Michael Cohen finally testifies and he's cross-examined and crucified over his prior bad lack of credibility, let's say,
right,
then they can point to, in closing, they'll say, okay, Michael Cohen, we told you he had credibility problems. Look at all these other documents. Documents don't lie. Look at people like Hope Hicks. Her testimony matches up to the data points and the times and everything else. So that will help the people make out their case.
Hicks testified that the Trump 2016 campaign was rocked by the release of Trump's interview with Access Hollywood, in which he commented about groping women. Why is that interview so central to the Manhattan prosecutor's case against Trump now?
It's huge because the prosecutors first spent the early part of their case establishing the transaction from Michael Cohen to Stormy Daniels and all the players involved, even the banker who helped facilitate the payments through the bank, although you may not have known what they were for. So once they've established that, now they appear to be moving on to the motive. What was the feeling at the time of the Access Hollywood tape? And Hope Hicks described an atmosphere where she was shocked, everyone was shocked, Michael Cohen was swinging into action, and everyone was concerned about the campaign. That is to defeat in advance the defense's argument that, hey, this is something that didn't have anything to do with the campaign. It had to do with family with Melania Trump. And that's why I say Hope Hicks was a mixed bag, because she also testified that Donald Trump was worried about Melania. So, look, there's not a perfect witness for the prosecution, but this was a good witness.
Right.
They've had good witnesses so far, or else they wouldn't have called them. We just need to see what the defense comes up with when it's their turn.
Now, court resumes Monday morning. What do we know about the next witness, the next witnesses for that matter, and what do you expect to see from the two legal teams on week 4?
So far, the prosecution has been following a pattern of starting with a timeline, but also mixing up their witnesses. They've got the marquee names, and then they'll have some maybe more boring, more dry witnesses who are authenticating evidence like cell phone data, other things like that. And that's why it's been a little unpredictable who they're going to call, because after Hope Hicks, they'll likely maybe call someone who is not a name you recognize, who might just have information about cell phones or social media posts. That's what we heard earlier this week, to authenticate those documents. But here's the thing. When it comes to calling witnesses, prosecutors have a plan, but the plan has to change all the time. A trial is full of moving parts, so it really isn't certain who they have lined up. Maybe they don't even know themselves until maybe the day or 2 days before. The defense is going to continue to hammer their theme, which is obviously now, they've made it very clear, which is that Michael Cohen went out on his own without Trump knowing about it, and there's no evidence, they will argue at the end, that Trump was involved in any of these until way, way, way after the fact, and after he could have formulated the requisite criminal intent.
But he still could have done it because of the election, for whatever, later or